I have a great story time for y'all. Now, this woman gave a whole tale, but I don't want to out her because of what she does for a living, and I might get more story times from her. So I'm calling her Madam Rose. So, what I'm going to do instead is use her voice and just let her narrate it. And then I'm going to follow up with some of the questions because I had a good amount of questions. When she was telling the tale, I didn't realize that she was a madam. I didn't realize her profession. So when she mentioned married, partnered, married person or married associate, I didn't understand what she was talking about. I didn't understand what she was talking about until the back end when I started asking questions like, what is going on here? So listen to her story, and then I'm going to follow up with some of my questions and some of her answers. This is Madam Rose's voice.
So a few days ago, I was talking to one of my partnered associates, and he was going on vacation. Now, this was like 3 weeks ago now, but I remember the beginning of his vacation because he was so excited he was going to have time to put all the Lego sets he had purchased together. And I was like, oh man, that's like cool. Like, who doesn't want time to just focus on their hobby or whatever it is that they're doing? And I was like, man, like when you finish them, I would love to see them because I'm not a Jedi person or whatever. So, yeah, I'm not going to buy those, put them together. And he was like, okay, cool, bet. So he shows me like the different stages of it. So he shows me like when he has sorted all of the pieces, and he showed me the set that he was working on, whatever, right? And completely forgot about it. Like, went on, and now we are at 3 weeks post vacation. And he flipped through our mind again and his family and stuff. And so I text him like, hey, what's going on? Like, how are y'all doing? It was the weekend or something, the Sunday reset. And he's like, oh, we're cool. Like, we're just cleaning up or whatever. And he's like, but yeah, my wife has kind of irritated me. And I was like, irritated you? Like, why? Since when did you get irritated by cleaning up? And he was like, well, it's not that we're cleaning up. She wants me to clean up. She wants me to clean up my stuff. And I was like, well, okay, like just clean it up. And I was like, but what do you mean your stuff? And so he tells me, he brings up the Legos again. And I was like, oh, I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, so just put that shit up, right? And I was like, okay, so what's the problem with you just putting the Legos up? And so he goes on to say, like, I don't want to put them up. I want to look at them. And so, look, me being silly, I was like, well, why don't you just communicate to her that you would like to have them out so you can look at them? Or maybe suggest to her that you get one of those little curio cabinets or whatever. IKEA has some things. They're really inexpensive. Like what, 120 bucks or whatever. And that way you can have your Legos out. You can look at them. You can, fly them around, whatever it is that you do with them. And he was like, man, I don't want to, spend that money. I really don't have no, whatever. Insert whatever excuse there. He said it. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I mean, I don't know what to tell you other than put them fucking toys up. And so we didn't text like for maybe another like few hours or something. But when he texted me, he was so tickled. And he was like, man, this is going to be epic. Like, it's going to be epic? What's going to be epic? I'm going to piss her off. And I was like, what you mean you going to piss her off? Like, if you're cleaning up, I'm not connecting the dots. Like, he's still carrying on from the last conversation. I'm thinking they'd have got into some beef or, some kind of argument or some kind of little disagreement about dinner, maybe even. Nope. He decided that instead of just putting the Legos up in a sensible manner, he was gonna do this. That's what he was gonna do. Y'all, I could not help but to let this be a teachable moment for myself, and I was the student. I asked him probing questions as to like why he did this. Somehow I was surprised, but then in the back of my mind, I wasn't surprised at his response. And it was really fucking simple. I did it to spite her. I did it because I knew it would piss her off. And I could not help but to continue to ask questions at this point because I was wondering, like, why couldn't you just communicate that you didn't want to put them up? He said it was just easier to just move the stuff, but he taped it to their bedroom ceiling. So it's, I just don't understand. And we had a laugh about it because he knows, like, I'm still observing single. And I was like, thank you. Thank you, because it's men like you who help me to remember to keep my solitude. Because I just thought that was insane that he just couldn't put the toys up, and that he, on purpose, with intention, devised a plan, a method, and a way to irritate and spite his wife. So, partnered women, is this something that you have to put up with? Is that form of passive aggressive behavior something that you deal with on a daily, monthly, and or weekly basis? And if so, are you okay?
Okay, after watching that woman's video, I had so many questions like, who are these people? How old are they? How long have they been married? So she jumped in my inbox and I let her know how invested I was. And she's like, yes, the whole thing is crazy. So this is where I found out her profession, that she was a Dom. And she says, I found the guy, let's call him Legos, on the Tofi dating app. It's connected to the Lovense SEX toys. So there's some kind of app. Immediately invested. That's why I pulled out my popcorn and my bubble tea. She says they chatted for a week before he told her that she was married. This is where she tells me to tell the wives and partnered women about that app. And I'm going to have her explain about this app later after the Lego story. She says, since I don't care, I kept him as a submissive male on my team. I will get him to do whatever little thing I want. And I'm like, how much does he pay for this? She said that the app is free, but the toy is another price. She says that he is always doing stuff like she was talking about in his video, in that video. Then I'm like, how old is he? So they are both in their mid 30s and they have an 8-year-old daughter. So when people sit up here and really try to edify marriage as is some big thing, remember that there are other pieces of these puzzles that we don't see. They left the Mormon community together. And also keep in mind that some of these extra restrictive religions are creating some of these things because obviously he's acting out some things. She says, I think they trauma bonded into a marriage. So they've been together about 10 years. And then I'm like, I need to know how the wife reacted. And supposedly, according to this woman, they have an open relationship, or that's the lie that he's telling. And I'm like, yeah, I don't believe it, because if they were in an open relationship, he would have told Madame Rose in the very beginning. He didn't, so I don't believe it. Madame Rose is continuing about the wife, saying that she made out with some guy on a trip, and that's when they opened it up. And then she was like, yeah, I punished him for his dishonesty. And I'm like, please send me some of these pictures. And then you guys can see at the bottom, he's in a cage in women's undies a lot of the time. Obviously, I cannot post those type of pictures. I don't even want those type of pictures. Apparently, this dude left the Legos up for a week. She was upset. She let him still keep these Legos taped up there for a week. And he basically did this just to spite her. What is the point in being in a relationship with somebody who just wants to be spiteful? Anyways, y'all go ahead, jump in the comments. Let me know about how you feel about this story time, a crazy story time.